Hi everybody, welcome to Jenkins Boat Works. I am Chuck Jenkins. We continue work on our Some Sound sailboat build and we're getting a lot done. As we are working on planking, we're doing lap strake, glued lap strake. So what that means is that the next plank lays over the last one. And in order to make them fit right, you have to create bevels so that the plank will have a place to get glued on and not have big gaps between where it lays down. And then we got to cut gains in the ends so that the planks will lay fair and smooth like at the bow and at the transom. Our next video is going to get into detail about that, and I'm learning as I'm going along, but it's kind of amazing how quickly you can get relatively good at it. In the meantime, I am finding that I absolutely have to have sharp tools. So I'm using a chisel and a couple of planes, and I've never done a lot of work with hand planes, and so I knew that I was going to need to keep my tools sharp, and so I ordered a tool sharpening kit from Rockler. And what I want to show you today are these tools that we got, and these are by Go Helper. And like I said, I got it from Rockler, and it has an angle gauge so that you can put your blades in there, determine what angle they are cut at. And then once you do that, you use this guide to set your angle. So like right now, it's upside down. Right now it's set at, maybe you can't see that, 25. And sorry about that shadow. And so then what you do is you put your blade in here through this part here, and that's adjustable depending on whether it's a narrower chisel or a wider blade. And then this sits in this space here. We're going to get into this in the video, but I didn't have very good close-up shots. So it sits in there. You put the blade in through here and rest it on this front part here. So it tells you what distance it needs to be in order to achieve that particular angle of bevel. It'll make more sense as we get into it. So, and then I'm just using sandpaper. Now, for those of you that are really good at sharpening your tools, you're probably going to cringe as you watch me do some of this. I'm not good at it, and I'm getting better, but I am getting my tools sharp enough to cut through this marine plywood. And I'm not getting them down to a real fine, honed edge by any stretch of the imagination. So like I said, I'm sure there's people out there that are better at this, and I welcome your tips and comments in that regard. So anyway, this video might be worth it just for a couple of stories that I tell in the meantime. So anyway, we're glad you're here. Check this out. Like I said, the next video coming will be about cutting bevels and gains. And if you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. All right, and jump in and show you how I sharpen my tools. Let's sharpen some stuff. I've been using this chisel to cut my gains, and I've already got this thing set at a 30-degree angle. I got this handy little guide, so I can put my chisel in there and see that that's supposed to be a 30-degree angle. And then this handy little tool has got, this is for locking it down so that you can figure the right angle. So basically it goes on this thing. You put this in here. You put your blade in here, face up, so it's resting on that and here. It's hard to do holding it like that. So once it's on there, And resting on this, you know that that's the right distance for a 30-degree angle, and then you just lock this down. And I'm going to start with 80 grit. Pretty sharp. And then we'll go down to 120. Very sharp. And then we're going to go to 220. This paper is actually the paper that came with the sharpening kit. I don't have any that's any less than 220, so I kind of just got to use whatever else I've got to get me down to here. The beauty of this, see, is this thing rolls. So you just stay right on your 30 degrees. That's sharp, very sharp. All right, so we're back in business with that. And now I'm going to take, I got a couple of planes, just little block planes that I use. Let's see. Yeah, screwdriver. Well, this one's a cobalt. Some trash in there. And I believe these are a 25-degree angle. Let's see. Mm-hmm. 25. So now on this dude, I'm gonna have to reset this thing to get to 25. So you just unscrew this thing and move it up to 25. Lock that down. Now, this thing's too narrow because of that chisel, so we're just going to open that up. Tell that blade's going to fit in there. No, I about nailed it. Tighten that a little bit, not too much. Okay, so we're short. I got to move it up to where it's resting on this. I remember when I was a little kid, I was in Cub Scouts and I wanted a Cub Scout pocket knife real bad. So my dad got me one, and I immediately took it out in the front yard and started carving on a pine tree, a live pine tree. And it didn't feel like it was cutting very good. So I didn't think it was very sharp. So I had the blade open. I took it, I just drew it right across my hand, just cut my hand wide open. It was sharp. I didn't tell anybody about it either. Figured my pocket knife days would have been over. I'm sure I was all of about 7, maybe 8. Now I'm not going crazy and fine-tuning this down to 320 or 600 or anything else like that. We're using this to plane down marine plywood, and the glue is tough, and I just need to be sharp enough that I can get in there and cut. And I'm not worrying about real fine work. So getting down here to 220 is plenty. And that dude's sharp. Yes, it is. Just about the biggest trick with these is getting it put back in here to where it's adjusted properly. This plane's got a little shoe on the front end that's adjustable with this knob where you can open up the slot here. I had this set about where I wanted it. I believe we're in the second little groove right there. I think that's probably it. Because you can wiggle it back and forth here. And I don't want it, I want it dead on. That looks pretty good. Let's lock that down. And tighten that screw right here. So I'm just going to move that up and then tighten it back down. Whoops. Seems like it should go the other way. So now you can see that that was right in there, right up against the face of that. Now that's in there, now that's locked down. Now I can pull this off of here and start again with my sandpaper. We may have to adjust that once we start using it. Now this plane I got from my friend Paul, who was a boat builder for years, and he had the Cedar Tree Boat Shop up in Des Moines, Iowa. I first met him several years ago. I needed some Okumi plywood, and he had some. And just a wonderful fella. He has just recently passed, and I was sorry to hear that. But just a super nice guy, and he would watch our videos, and then he would comment or he'd send me a note. When he closed down his boat shop, he sent me a whole ton of brass screws or bronze screws, and I bought some of it from him, and then he ended up just sending me a whole bunch more. Just a real wonderful guy. Rest in peace. Anyway, so this is a rabbit plane, and on this one the blade, it goes all the way out to the shoulders here so that you can cut a rabbit. On this one you've got these edges here where you can't go straight up against what you're doing if you need to be cutting a rabbit. So I'm finding this to be pretty useful when I'm cutting a gain. And when he sent this to me, it was plenty sharp. I haven't sharpened it, but we're going to today. Now, so I don't know what the angle on this blade is. And it's kind of a different blade. Now, I haven't sharpened this edge over here. Maybe I should. That's pretty dull, really. Let's find out what this angle on this is. I'm going to guess it's probably 25. Maybe not. That might be 20. It's clearly not 30. Yeah, I believe that's 20. Interesting. Okay. Well, so now we got to adjust this dude, get to 20. There's 20. And then again, this one's super narrow, so we're going to have to wind this in considerably. I want to make sure it's straight in there. I don't want to sharpen an angle into it. That wouldn't be good. So there we are. Face top up and it's resting right in there. Lock that down. Now we should be able to sharpen. Again, we're going to start with 80. I got to get some of this long paper of these higher grits, lower grits. Yeah, I think we're good. That one's got a nice mechanism here that's got a screw to turn to adjust your depth. So put this in here to lock it down, but yeah, I think that's probably good. Looks good. All right, we try out this newly sharpened plane. Wow. If you like the video, remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.